Good morning. It's Wednesday, December 15th, and I'm pissed off as usual this morning about executive privilege, about being able to hide behind that particular legal phrase. And I'm saying that because here's Mark Meadows, who started to talk to Congress about what happened on January 6th and abruptly stopped because I believe that ex-President Trump convinced him that he had executive privileges and he didn't have to speak about it. Now, according to what I read about executive privilege, it's the power of the president and other officials in the executive branch to withhold certain forms of confidential communication from the courts and the legislative branch, that would be Congress and the Senate. And when an executive privilege is invoked in litigation, the court has to weigh its applicability by balancing competing interests. The Constitution doesn't have anything in it about executive privilege. It was set up basically to separate the powers so that the president's office could do what they were going to do and Congress could do what they were going to do and the judicial branches could do what they were going to do. But it really came to fore when President Nixon created a crime. He actually created a crime. And in that case, in the Watergate scandal, it was established that even a president has a legal duty to provide evidence of one's communications with his aides when the information is relevant to a criminal case. Now, if there's anybody out there that thinks that January 6th and the actions of breaking into the Capitol building were not a criminal case, then they ought to have their heads examined. So I am very, very distressed that this information that we are waiting anxiously for is being held up because they can't decide that breaking into the Capitol is not a criminal offense, that we have high-level officials in our government saying it was a tourist attraction that day. It was nothing unusual going on. 5 people died. That in itself is a criminal case. Do we need more than that to get executive privilege overruled and to get those National Archive papers? Why? Why is it taking so long? And why can Mark Meadows change his mind and decide he's not going to testify anymore? Who has been rattling his cage? I'll give you one guess. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that these people who have been subpoenaed by Congress can blatantly ignore the subpoenas, and we're letting them walk around free. Something's wrong. Something is wrong in this country. Our laws are set up so that nothing can take place in a reasonable amount of time. And in some cases, an unreasonable amount of time is necessary. We cannot have this thing dragging on and on and on and on, because every 2 years, the shape of our government changes. So if we really want to get this thing on January 6th, and I am ranting about this, I don't know, for the 10th time, if we really want to get this thing about January 6th settled, we have to get it done this year, this upcoming year, because at the end of 2022, there will be another election, and who knows who will have the balance of power at that point in time, right? You know, if this was a civil action, then the federal courts would have a different decision to make, because that would be based upon evidence, and then they would have to figure out if the evidence that they had could override executive privilege. And that is done on a case-by-case basis. So there's no set rule as to when you can apply executive privilege. You can apply executive privilege as much as you want, and as loud as you want, and as long as you want. But that's decided on the evidence of the case as to whether executive privilege should stand or not. But in the case of a criminal action, you can't stand behind executive privilege at all. And there's nobody in their right mind that could tell me that the activities that took place at the Capitol and people died, that is not a criminal act. And besides the death, there was destruction of property, illegal entry. It was a million different things that were criminal during that day. And yet, we can't move ahead because of the claim of executive privilege. And the claim of executive privilege by the person is no longer an executive. And the people related to him are no longer part of the White House, which protected them at a certain point in time. So I am frustrated. I am sitting here extremely frustrated because we, the people of the United States, are not getting the answers that we need. And we are sitting here waiting and waiting and waiting, and nothing is happening. Do we agree that everything in this country takes forever? Why? Why can't we get stuff done? We passed those 2 monumental Build Back America bills, but they're not finished yet. They're not finished yet because we're allowing one person or 2 people to object to certain things in there. We have to beg a senator to get that thing over the hump. So when you look around, this company is drowning in its own democracy. And January 6th is particularly frustrating. It is very frustrating when you look at the facts and you want to have something done. And so I don't want to take up any more of your time. You know where I stand on this issue. There is no question in my mind that those people who were involved in January 6th belong in jail. And there's no question in my mind that those in the executive branch also belong in jail because they didn't take the proper steps to stop this thing. There's even a report that came out that Donald Trump Jr. was trying to get to his father, to make his father speak up, but his father ignored him and didn't speak up and didn't attempt to stop it. And all these people are still standing behind the ex-president. It's ridiculous. That's my story for today. I'm sorry if I upset you, but it has to be said. Bye.